Before we roll the intro, we need to talk about how George Pickens is number 2 receiver in fantasy right now. Not CeeDee Lamb, not Amon-Ra St. Brown, George freaking Pickens. Let's get into the chaos. Welcome to Not Advised, the fantasy football podcast not based on research. So if you lose, don't blame us. But if you win, we're definitely taking credit. Hey guys, it's Matt, currently sweating out a league where I'm down 30 with Rico Dowdle and Tut McMillan left. So pray for me.
I'm CJ, and I may not end up on a 9-game losing streak.
My name's JD, and I am also sweating the same exact thing that Matt's sweating. I have Ted McMillan and Rico Dowdle to come from behind to beat a team that has not touched his lineup since week 1.
Oh my goodness.
And I am somehow struggling in this game.
That's incredible. I mean, this week was pure madness. So let's jump into that a little bit of the week, which I think plays into your issue here. Going into fantasy, we had an explosion this week. Jameer Gibbs had 55 points.
Dog.
I didn't even think that's possible.
Dog.
Bro, I just absolutely insane. I know he's been a pretty up and down this season, but that right there, that game in particular is exactly why I was talking about taking him as possibly the number 1 running back this year.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not playing in keepers, I mean, most all my leagues are keeper leagues, so like Jameer's like off the board in virtually every league I play in. So
of course,
it kind of sucks, but I mean, it's also hard to believe that he would be the number 1 with David Montgomery in the backfield. And it's not like David Montgomery is like a leech by any means. Like they both are arguably 2 starters. I mean, definitely 1 starter, but you could start both and not think twice about it.
They haven't used Montgomery as much this year, I think, as everybody had thought at the beginning of the season. Last year, they used him a lot more in the red zone and to score the tutties, but I think they've just let Gibbs just cook this year.
Yeah. As of right now, Gibbs is number 3 overall, and David Montgomery is number 25. So that just goes to show. I think last year they were actually a lot closer.
Right.
Whereas
Montgomery
like both
was
of
higher.
them, like 1A, 1B kind of situation. But it seems like Jameer Gibbs has almost fully taken over the backfield. David Montgomery doesn't get used nearly as much as he used to. They used to do this thing where they would switch drives completely. Like you would only see David Montgomery on a drive. You would only see Jameer on a drive. It seems like you see Jameer for 75% of the game now.
He flows in the game script better.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And it's just, he's part of the, he makes that offense way more high flying than David Montgomery does. I don't think anybody would have benched him, but if for whatever reason you aren't checking your lineup and you happen to take him out the 1 week he was on bye, I feel real bad for you.
Tough.
Going into somebody else that's just, I mean, it seems to be week after week that he's having monster games. Jackson Smith-Njigba is not just the number 1 fantasy receiver right now. I think he has a case to be the number 1 receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, totally. His production isn't slowing down. And I don't think anybody at the beginning of this season would have seen that coming. We've talked about it many, many times at this point in the pod, but I mean, he continues to press week in and week out. Even the game, I think had talked about it a couple of weeks ago where teams have kind of caught on to Sam Darnold. All he's got to do is just blitz him. I watched the game this weekend. Sam Darnold's adapted, bro. He's just slinging a JSN, and it's complete 98% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, I remember when JSN came out of college and he was, the next best thing. And I just remember when we were bidding on JSN, I virtually would have spent however much money it took to bet on him. And he didn't have, quite the rookie campaign because of his injury. But now it's like, this is the guy everybody thought he would be. And now it's like, if you are, willing to be a little bit more patient with JSN, you've got exactly what you wanted, from when he came out of college.
Yeah, he's exactly what you thought he'd be. He's exactly what he was in college.
Yes.
Quickly, exactly. Matt, where'd he go to college?
Ohio State University. Yeah,
Easy.
I know that one because everybody talks about those OSU boys all the time.
No.
Yeah. Really, all it took for him to break out was to get the crybaby off of his team because DK is no longer there worrying about getting the ball all the time.
No, DK was a leech. That's the best
Yes.
way to describe it.
100%. I agree with that.
But
And
I was thinking about this yesterday. It's like, man, JSN doing what he's doing, knowing he had DK there, who felt like when he was on, he was like Megatron, at
Right.
times. But then when he was off, it was like, Jason didn't really pick up the slack as much as he would like he is now. But to see it just makes me think, well, was the offense that good in Seattle, or was DK really that good? But now that like the chips have kind of shuffled a little bit, you kind of see who the true colors are for each player.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Matt's got a strong opinion on DK at this point.
Yeah, because I
Loves him.
mean, I went into the season advocating that he could be a top 12 receiver.
I was
You
on
know
the
what I'm
same
saying?
boat. I was
I
I
think
was thinking he'd
everybody
be a top
was.
5. There was no one to throw the ball
Right.
to in Pittsburgh.
And there's no one
There's
his
still
size
is.
on defense who can
Yeah.
guard this. Like, why is he getting defended at all? Like, I just don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. He's a giant
Giant.
individual
Yeah, just a giant. Right.
that isn't doing anything. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I think just that goes to show it's like intangibles alone mean jack squat on
Yeah.
a team. Because
Right.
it's like, it's the chemistry you have with your quarterback, it's the chemistry you have with your coaches, coming from a guy who's stopped playing football at like 13 years old and we never threw the ball. But it's just like, just from everything that I hear, it's just like, we have to remember this is a team game, and it's like, you walk in. I mean, you also were going to assume Aaron Rodgers was throwing him the ball, but he's
Right.
not now. So, that kind of changes everything. But that's that.
Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers has been throwing him the ball for
All season.
all season up until
But
this
one game.
So
Yeah.
Right.
And he's been
I'm
dookie butter.
trying to help him out, but
yeah, but if we want to jump back over to running backs here and talk about Ashton Gentie, which is somebody, JD, that you've already brought up. I wanted to bring him up this week because he's actually the number 10 overall running back on the season as far as fantasy goes.
And the Raiders just fired Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator.
I was actually going to bring that up too, because I was wondering if you think this affects Gentie or Brock Bowers at all.
I mean, I wouldn't say it affects them as much, because like you're always going to rely on your bell cows. Like, you're not going to not use Gentie no matter what kind of offense you're running. It's not like they're going to go completely away from their identity as a team and an offense. Like, they're going to feed into like what works well. It's like maybe they try to use, guys like Brock Bowers and Ashton Gentie even more because of, this whole identity, and they know what works really well. So like, who knows? I mean, time will tell.
Yeah, I think it positively impacts both of them, or it should, right? Especially, I think I saw this offensive coordinator is like, he's the third stint in this Raiders offense as the coordinator. So at this point, he's seen what works well for the organization in general, right? So he should know who he has on the team and just feed him more, There's no shot Gentie should carry the ball under 30 times a game and Bowers having under 15 targets a game.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. And,
especially since Geno's playing not the best.
Yeah, you would think that Brock Bowers gets targeted every time he throws the football because, again, aside from Trey Tucker, and I only know Trey Tucker's name because he had a 40-point week one week, but outside of Trey Tucker, I have no idea who else is receiving the ball in that team.
Not since they traded Jacoby Myers, I could tell you.
I couldn't remember that Jacoby got traded. I just thought he wasn't playing for whatever reason. But on the positive side of things, if you drafted Gentie, especially in dynasty leagues, it's finally starting to pay off, right?
Yeah, especially in dynasty where I have him, I was nervous the first quarter of the season, but now this last quarter of the season that we have last probably 5-6 weeks, he's gotten just consistent points. Not mad at it at all.
Yeah, it's like sometimes, like if you're in a position where it's like, hey, if I need a player to pop off, like you could, I wouldn't say rely on him, but you could bet the over.
Yeah, you know what you're gonna get from him at this point.
Yeah, you pretty much like last week, and then week 7 was a dud where he had 4 points, and then they also played KC, and like that game is always a really tough game for both
Right.
for both squads being in the
And they're
same
playing
division.
from like behind, and he's not going to run the ball.
Right, yeah, exactly. So I mean, if the game script is there, then you can basically rely on
Yep.
him anyways.
Right. Well, I do know that he has a tough schedule coming up, especially for the
The
playoffs.
playoffs, yeah.
Yeah, Chargers, Denver, Philly, Houston, and then the Giants for what people would think is the championship game, unless you go to Week 18, which I don't know
It's
a lot
crazy.
of leagues that do that. But if they do, it's even harder with KC back on the block for Week 18. So the end of the season can prove to be probably a little rocky for him, but super excited for the fact that he's actually broken out and is looking good. I think he can only get better from here. He's only averaging about 3.6 yards per carry this season. I think that can only go up, especially if the offense gets better. So good to look out for Gentie going forward. But we brought up his teammate Brock Bowers, and I wanted to talk about a tight end, Trey McBride.
Stud.
Let me tell you something real quick.
Yeah.
In the draft,
Else.
in our redraft, I was sitting right, and I wish he was here. I sat right next to Raymond, and I looked over at Raymond, and I said, Raymond, do I draft Brock Bowers or do I draft Trey McBride? And this fool looked at me like I had 16 eyes and hit and made me draft Brock Bowers.
Well, okay. To be fair,
it wasn't a bad pick at the beginning of the season.
It also still is not terrible. Okay,
No,
I am gonna bring something up that's nuts about Trey McBride.
I actually don't regret it, but
Brock Bowers has missed 3 games this season, and he's still the number 9 tight end overall. So
impressive.
He probably would be closer to 2 or 3 if he had played all games and targeted like he's supposed to be. But as of right now, Trey McBride has outscored the closest tight end to him by 52 points this year.
Crazy.
That's insane.
There's not a lot of times where you're like, oh, there's a super difference maker at tight end, but Trey McBride is exactly that. 52 points over the past 12 games compared to everyone else.
And doesn't
don't get me wrong,
seem
I don't
to be impacted by his quarterback.
No, not at all.
I think it's probably been elevated since Jacoby Brissett took over.
Yes, I believe so as well.
Yeah, interesting. I'm a firm believer in going tight end early. I guess it doesn't work out for me because it never has, but I've always chosen the wrong one. But I've drafted tight ends early the last 3 years.
How early are you drafting your tight ends?
Round 2, round 3. Depends on who's.
Yeah, I guess it
there.
depends on who's available and what spot you're in and how.
Well, let me tell you, Kyle Pitts rookie year drafted him first round.
I mean, I'm not upset with that. I think that was a justifiable pick. In
of
my
course,
opinion.
right. And then last year I drafted Kels first round or second round.
I just think it's getting harder and harder to pick a tight end because I feel like a player like Kyle Pitts kind of sort of ruined it for us, like the perception of that type of player, because
absolutely
it was Kyle Pitts and then it was Brock Bowers and then now you have guys like Tyler Warren and the offenses are slowly starting to change and you see these guys coming out who are just absolute freaks. And, obviously these coaches and these teams are great at finding these guys, but it just makes it a little bit harder to say, yeah, I definitely want that guy. Or it's like, hey, I'm going to draft this tight end in, the second or third round because you could wait and get a guy like Colson Loveland or Tyler Warren way later down the draft and be just as effective. But, the trade-off is, you're getting, some other better wide receivers or running backs in those same exact spots.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And the one other thing that I wanted to say about his positioning in fantasy football right now is that if you were to take him and put him at the receiver position, he would be the number 5 overall receiver right now.
Yeah, he's a literal cheat code.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
Insane. Insane how that works out. But it's hard to justify drafting a tight end early, but that's one right there that you would want to take early any day of the week.
Putting up Travis Kelce numbers,
Exactly. Those prime time Kelce numbers. Yeah. And then something that's been a little bit not so surprising, but it's just weird to see because I haven't seen it in so long. But the Rams, the wide receiver dominance out of the Rams
let me say I drafted Devontae Adams, and you told me I was stupid.
It did feel like you were stupid, but he is paying off big time. They have the number 4 and the number 6 overall receiver in fantasy on the same team.
Let me ask that. Let me put that in a question. Is that Matthew Stafford that's doing all that, like making them that well? Like, you think if both of them were on a different team, it wouldn't, or maybe the McVay offense, like, or is it just Puka and Devontae Adams both as players? Like, my mind really
it's a
wonders.
combination of all. It's like,
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
about what we just talked about with DK and JSN.
That's true. Right.
So-
That's what made me think of all this is
And it's
how
like,
they're
what do you
both.
think? Was Devontae Adams doing anything when he was in New York?
No, or
Exactly.
in Vegas.
And
Yeah,
that
not-
didn't take
not
away from
very
him being a
much.
freak athlete.
Right. But it
Right.
seems to be when Devontae's paired with a great quarterback. I'm not talking about the Aaron Rodgers year in New York. I'm talking about like Green Bay years. Like, he
Yeah.
seems to thrive and do well. And then he's with the mediocre, Derek Carr. He's just doesn't break out.
Yeah. So my take on this is that I think that both Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua are elite receivers in general.
Mhm.
But to add on top of that, Matthew Stafford has thrown to or contributed to 2 of the best receiver years of all time. 3, if I can't remember exactly what Puka did last year, but
Yeah.
3 including that one. And now Puka's again on that kind of tear. He's missed a game, but he's also almost at 1,000 yards even after missing a game. And then Devontae Adams is scoring touchdowns left and right. So like JD said, I do think it's a mix of everything. And McVay's always been known as a offensive mastermind, right? So it's definitely a combination of everything, but it's just relentless, especially with Matthew Stafford playing at an MVP level.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And then they get in the red zone, right? And then their weapons are unstoppable. If they don't throw it to Puka or Devontae, then you have Kyron Williams just running it up the gut. And then, now I don't know the guy's name, but then you have this random tight end that they have who...
Davis Mills?
I don't care who it is. It could be me and you out there at tight end, and we're just randomly catching a ball. So, I mean, like, their red zone offense is undeniable.
Absolutely. And I don't know the yardage, but it just, like, the streak has continued. Matt Stafford has now not thrown an interception in 8 weeks.
Yeah, he's only got 3 on the year, right?
He's only had 2 on the year.
2 on the year, yeah.
But over the past 8 weeks, he's thrown 25 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
It's insane.
That comes with wisdom. That comes with age.
Yeah.
My man's just careful with the ball.
And also, like, to tack on top of that, he is only thrown under 30 times in 2 of those games. So it's not like he's not throwing the football. You know what I'm saying? He's still slinging the football. It's just at an unreal percentage, especially touchdown to interception ratio.
And here we are, thought his back was broken when he wasn't doing any kind of the summer workouts. Little did we know he's just resting his back to carry the team.
So many people thought he wasn't going to play much this season at all. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Dude's like 86. Spent a half of his career in Detroit just getting sacked every other play.
That was hard.
This is true. This is true. He's delivered some of the coolest moments being injured in football.
Yeah.
Do you think he plays long enough to win another Super Bowl?
This could be the year.
I think that if he wins this year, he
think
might
he's done.
not. Yeah, he might not come back.
I think that defense is good enough to where they can really compete deep into the playoffs. Especially, and fact check me on this, but I think as of this moment, I think playoffs run through LA. So they don't have to go anywhere where it's cold and all the teams are coming to paradise. So I could be wrong after this weekend's game, but
that would be ideal.
I think they're Super Bowl contenders for sure.
Oh, absolutely. 100% agree with that.
I also think that the Rams offense is what the Cowboys offense wants to be.
Oh, that was a perfect transition there, CJ. Because the
great.
last guy that I wanted to cover before we get into our fantasy leagues is George Pickens.
Yeah.
He George Pickens
Dude.
might actually be the best contested catch receiver in the NFL.
Did you see the catch last night?
Yes, that's the
Dude.
reason I'm bringing this up. It's
double
a
covered-
highlight every single time he gets the ball.
It's unbelievable, man. I can't. I feel like we all knew he was good in Pittsburgh, but
Yeah.
dude, like I don't think we really realized his talent until now, until he's with a good quarterback.
Okay, wait. You just said what you just said, and then we were talking about DK being DK in Pittsburgh. Would we be surprised if DK turned into another stud if he was to leave?
Yeah, it's something about those Pittsburgh receivers, bro. It's like they get on another team or they get traded away
Like
and they
being a
just
Cleveland quarterback.
Yeah, right. It's like something with like Pittsburgh knows how to draft receivers and to develop them just for them to walk away, and then the
Be
receiver
great.
just turns into another animal.
I think he
Okay.
would have to go to a team with one of the top quarterbacks in order to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also like it feels so unfair to have George Pickens and CD on the same team.
Well, I mean, it's
I
like
say
Puka
that.
and
I say
Devontae.
that, but
Yeah.
it's like they complement each other so well. It's just like that's also with the idea that like, hey, they're both, alphas. They're both the alpha receiver. They had the potential to be better than, or just like, LA is.
Yeah. Though I think Pickens is really bailing out the Cowboys because CD had 4 more drops last night.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if it was just CD trying to carry the Cowboys, I think they'd be in an even worse position than they are now, and they still, they have an even record, just above.
Yeah.
But
Well, it probably takes a little bit of pressure off both receivers to have both guys have the
yeah,
ability to ball out,
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. You mean to tell me that CD doesn't have to produce and go over 100 yards every game? I mean,
Right.
no brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to continue to talk about that Cowboys offense until they get eliminated from, or maybe even not make the playoffs, but get eliminated from playoffs because it's such a high scoring, entertaining offense.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that. The one of the crazy things about Pickens that I wanted to bring up is that he's the number 2 receiver on the year. And if
He's
you
the
would have
number 2 receiver?
number 2, right behind Jason.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
Yep. And over the past 2 weeks, he's scored
Like 100 points.
like 59 points. He's had like 290 yards.
No, it's exactly 60 points.
Yeah. Oh, it's exactly 60 points.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's had like 290 yards and 2 touchdowns over the span of the last 2 games. He also, the only time that he has not had double-digit fantasy points this year was week 1.
That is so hard to believe.
As he's getting used to that offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
it's absolutely insane.
He's the guy that we knew he would be. Like when he was at.
Yep.
Wait, Matt, do you know where this guy went to college?
No, I did not. I do not
You
know
gotta
where George
give us a
Pickens went
guess.
to. Guess. I can't even begin.
Raymond's not here, so someone's got to carry it.
I know. Dang, I can't even think of where this man would have went to college. He feels like it feels like he went to college where he ended up getting drafted in Pittsburgh.
No, he went to the University of Georgia.
God dang.
I mean,
I
that
don't remember
shouldn't
him
have been
being
a
on Georgia
surprise.
at all.
Well, that's because it wasn't the same Georgia team as we have now.
Yeah.
It was Kirby's first years.
But he was
gotcha.
incredible when he was at Georgia. Just watching the catches there, it's like
Dude.
you're not surprised to do what he's doing now. And we were all so surprised to see what he was doing in Pittsburgh. And then that's why people were just like, oh, like George Pickens is the guy Pittsburgh needs to be in Pittsburgh. But now he's doing it in Dallas.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how the football world works. And that's why I really feel like it's so much more about team chemistry than the actual and intangible.
I can agree with that. I just know that if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that he was number 2 and not CD at during week 12, I would have laughed in your face. 100%.
I mean, though you can say that, and my top 2 would have been like Puka and Amon-Ra or somebody, someone that we already expect, or obviously
not JSN and George Pickens,
right? And everybody would have said Jamar Chase, of course, but circumstances happen.
Well, given that, let's talk a little bit about our leagues here. I'm 4-1 on the week so far. Like, just know for a fact, I've already won in 4 leagues, and I lost in 1. And then I have the one that I talked about at the very beginning where I could win as long as Rico Dowdle and Tet McMillan pull it out for me. Would be huge. How confident are y'all in your playoffs right now? Like, obviously, we think we're already making it. We've talked about that a couple times.
Mhm.
How confident are you and your team? Because I can tell you from my experience with the teams that I have, I'm not confident at all. Like, I feel like the weeks that I'm winning are just way too close. I feel like I'm getting pulled out by a Jameer Gibbs. And Jameer Gibbs, I'm not even kidding you, won me 2 different leagues this week because
Wow.
because he scored 55 points. And that's like, you're not getting that in the playoffs.
Yeah. I feel like the same. If my players can play, then I feel confident. However,
Yeah.
in one of the leagues I'm making the playoffs in, brother, I think I just went up against the champion this week. He scored 207 points. Okay,
Jesus.
he had
Who?
he had Dak
God.
he had Dak Prescott, Jameer Gibbs, George Pickens, Wandale Robinson, and Derrick
Oh,
Henry. Brother.
Jesus. That's like 8-9 touchdowns between all of
Yeah.
those players.
Yeah, he beat me by 100 points. So
That's crazy.
I think he's the winner in that league. But in the other leagues, I'm actually going to make the playoffs, and it's kind of hit or miss. I have like like Justin Jefferson, right? Like, he's cooked the rest of the year to me. Like, I don't expect him to get above 10 points again. But then I have like a Hunter Henry who's a volume tight end, and then I have a Jameson Williams who can score no points or score 25 points. So I'm not confident now at all.
JD, what about you?
I'm gonna make the playoffs in 3 out of the 4 leagues that I'm in, and I feel like I should make the playoffs in 4 out of the 4, but just the one league CJ and I are in together with Eric. I just got ramrodded, and Eric is the worst team in the league. And
Shocker.
same situation. He had Jameer Gibbs and he had DJ Moore, and
Yeah, that
and I had JSN. Like, I had the second most points in this league, and it's like the one week I kind of needed to win, knowing we're on a short week coming into the playoffs. Like, I'm not going to make it in one. I will say I was feeling like I could win the championship in 3 out of those 4 leagues because I had Cam Scatabo or Scatabo, and then once he got injured, my hopes went from like a 90% chance of winning the championship to probably like a 65, maybe 75% chance. Like, if my team balls out, there's a really good chance I can go deep in the playoffs. It's like I'm kind of like fighting for that like potential bye week, or like in another league where it's the double weeks, combined score. You just hoping you draw a really good matchup with the team you're playing. And I feel really, really good if my team plays good. Like, if everybody does what they're supposed to do, like, I really think I could win. But I'm not in the same position you guys are in where it's like, hey, I'm like barely squeaking it out. It's like I'm either gonna win or like there's no in between.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
Yeah, let me see. I'm 8-3, 8-3, and then I'll be 6-6. So that 6-6 team,
Not very confident in.
not very confident.
Yeah,
Not
you'll get
confident
in.
at all.
Well, in one of my league, or in our league, that you might not be on a 9-game losing streak anymore. I just beat the number 1 team this week. Well, I
did
say
you?
that, but
You
I
beat
kind of hope he
Chance?
beats me because he has Bryce Young. So I kind of hope Bryce Young goes off tonight, getting Tet McMillan and Rico Dowdle the ball. I'll be totally okay with him beating me because I'm not making the playoffs in this league anyway.
It's one of those weeks where you're okay with losing as
I'm rooting for
sacrifice
him.
to the players.
I'm rooting for him because you brought up somebody, the league that I'm down 30 points in with Rico and Tet, it's against Eric.
No.
And I need to beat him. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, my thing is, if you lose to Eric in fantasy, you're chalked. Just quit.
Yeah,
my man he drafts and then doesn't check his team.
This has got to be the best he's ever played. He's actually doing phenomenal. He's 8-3 in this league and the number 2 overall.
Wow.
But he's also been carried pretty hard. He has Josh Allen. He has Devon A-Chain. He also has JSN. So
wow,
he's been carried pretty hard. Yeah, and Travis Etienne has gone off for him, so
Yeah.
it's tough. And he has Jamar Chase, who obviously was suspended last week, but he's still the number 5 overall receiver even after being suspended for last week.
Ooh.
So
Joe Burrow comes back. He's playing Thursday.
I know. I think that's going to be a revenge game, and you'll see a little bit later when we get into something else.
Sure.
What I think about that game. But let's hop over into the college chaos corner here, because it's getting that time of the year where all the bowl games are happening. CJ, take it over.
Yep. So it's rivalry week in college football. The best to me, it's after cupcake week. Last week, I just sat on the couch and napped for 18 hours of college football. This week, I'm tuning into every single game. If you have a favorite college football team, if they're facing their best opponent, my bias and the Iron Bowl is the night game this week, so I can't wait. Alabama versus Auburn. The fun fact about Auburn, they started this freshman, they started a new quarterback this week, and he did okay. I'm not going to give him his flowers, but we'll see. Auburn's got nothing to lose against Alabama. All Alabama has to do is win, and we make it to the SEC championship game. We win the SEC championship game, we make the playoffs. Of course, you have, come on, JD, we got Florida and Florida State.
Texas, Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. Tennessee, Vandy's a very big one. Vandy needs a win over Tennessee. We have the iconic Michigan, Ohio State. Michigan could, I think it's the third year in a row.
I hope they go 5 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, they could do the unbelievable 5 in a row. They're not going to ruin Ohio State playoff chance, but they would ruin the momentum.
Now this was a talking point last year when Michigan did the unthinkable and
it was literally
being the crappy team that they were, and beating Ohio State. Let's just assume they do it again.
Right.
Does that warrant the firing of Ryan Day?
Oh, that's crazy.
Aren't they the number 1 overall?
Yeah, and they're undefeated.
Yeah, but this means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you could go
in an Ohio State Buckeyes mind.
Yeah, he's never beat Michigan.
He's never beaten Michigan.
Yeah, Ryan Day's never
that is pretty crazy.
He's never
You can't
beat
be the number 1 team.
And it was
the
only thing that salvaged Ryan Day's job was a natty.
Yeah.
But can you go your whole career
and not beat Michigan?
But keep winning natties? Like, I feel like you'd have an asterisk as a head coach at the Ohio State if you can't beat Michigan.
I think they talk about it. I think they talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not up in that corner of the world, so I don't understand.
You have one job.
I mean, I understand the rivalry, but I don't understand the thought process behind.
I mean, like literally Michigan last year. I mean, all you had to do was beat Ohio State. That's all you played for last year. Yeah, and then like the Harbaugh years, he couldn't beat Ohio State, and they talked about it every year they talked about it after the Ohio State game. Is he good enough? And then of course he won the
and then
the
he
natty.
did, and he won the natty.
Yeah, and then
I mean that was a perfect little way to leave.
But yeah, I mean I think if somehow some way Michigan pulls this off, I think they do talk about firing Ryan Day. It'd be crazy.
I mean I wouldn't be surprised. It's like I know plenty of people who loathe Ryan Day because he got handed the keys to a Ferrari, and all you had to do was keep running it.
Yeah.
But this is how I think about that. It's like, yeah, people can definitely envy him. It's like, oh, you're not that good because, Urban Meyer built what you have now. But that's also kind of like saying like, oh, well, I just took over a business that nets, a few $1 million a year. And it's like, well, you still got to keep it up. You still got to do all the things. You still have to, do operations at the end of the day and make more money. And essentially that's what Ryan Day did. He kept the ship rolling. And it's like, to what point do you say, oh, that's what you built is not yours? Which, I mean, I understand both sides of the coin, but I still think even if you took Ryan Day and you put him somewhere else, he would still be an absolute stud.
Yeah, and there's plenty of other organizations or teams that would sought out for him. Top dollar. Yeah, I think that's an interesting take, one that I don't think people's talking about enough. But if he can't beat Michigan, there's something about it.
I don't think this is the year.
Right.
I don't think this is the year, but it is a valid question to bring up.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, and I think it has an asterisk if they go on and win the Natty. I mean, both of them
Mhm.
because they lose to the
Back
rival. I mean, nobody
back-to-back
wants.
natties, and it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, but
I think uh, one of the teams, one of the games this weekend we need to really focus on is that A&M Texas game. It's got a lot on the line.
a lot on
Uh,
the line.
I mean,
Where's
if
the
you're
game being played?
it's in UT, it's in Austin.
Wow.
Ooh.
It's so the
What
Wow.
Longhorns have the home game.
Mhm. What time is
It's
the game?
6:30 is the night game on
Oh, it's
Friday
a
night.
night game. Ooh, yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be
Friday.
a good game.
Yeah, Friday night. But I think Sarkisian, if he loses to A&M,
See ya, adios.
or what are they doing? You know,
They're
because then they'd
gonna
be.
give him the boot. Did you Okay, I was on Twitter earlier today, and I saw a clip of Steve Sarkisian in year 1 saying, did you see the same clip?
No, I
He
hadn't seen it.
said in year 1, while he was in year 1, he said, "This is the first year we're kinda getting everything under control. We're, changing everything." And at this point, they had, like, 3 losses, and he said, "If I'm in year 4 and we have 3 or 4 losses, then I would be worried about
Yeah,
losing the job."
yeah, because
And
if
here
they
we
lose
are.
to A&M,
You
it'd be
lose
4
this, you
losses.
have 4 losses.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they've joined the SEC, so now they're actually facing A&M again, like a true rival game.
yeah.
Like, I
And
mean,
there's even more at stake.
and there's even
Yeah.
more at stake.
And
Mhm.
if on the flip side, if Texas were to win this game, does that ruin A&M's playoff chances?
No, they're
No.
undefeated. No,
Okay.
no,
Yeah,
they're
well, it
could
doesn't
be
ruin their playoff chances, but it definitely, I think if they lose, there's a they would need some help to still make it to the SEC championship game.
I'm gonna say something controversial here. I think they lose on purpose because they
What?
don't. Yeah, they don't need those. They're still gonna make the playoffs regardless, and they don't
Mhm.
need to go the SEC championship game. I think them potentially losing to Texas and potentially losing in the SEC championship game hurts them way more versus if they lose to Texas and not have to go to the SEC championship game.
And then they'll just, I mean, I think it's kind of like a sort of a catch-22
Yeah, it's a tough
because
position to be in.
you go to the SEC championship game, you win, you get a first round bye. You
Right,
lose this game, you don't play in the SEC championship game, you don't have a first round bye, but the competition you play is going to still be just as hard. So
correct.
it's like, I don't think you're in a lose-win situation, or
Right.
win-win, I guess,
Yeah,
however that
I
would
mean, you're
be.
seeding, you're banking, then playing like like like
Like
Tulane or
USF
something.
or something
Right.
crazy.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But if you already have a bye week by not having to play the SEC championship game, now you have a mini bye there. I don't think it's the end of the world because
Yeah,
the SEC championship game would be Alabama A&M. If that's the case, it would be tough, tough
yeah.
position for A&M to be in. But no, A&M they're fine if they lose. They're still going to make the playoffs. They're
Yeah. Okay,
they're a
so
tough team.
I don't know if you guys saw this on your phone, but there's actually some breaking news.
Oh, hit us.
This is pretty big. It says ESPN is moving the Florida State game to Disney Channel as part of a massive network reshuffle.
Oh, wait, is this real? I thought you were just saying because the game's going to suck.
No, it's real. So they're moving it to Disney Channel. Kickoff is at 10:30 in the morning, and
Ugh.
yeah, it's on like Disney Channel Plus.
What?
What the heck?
Yeah, the game is that bad.
Yeah, that,
I'm
that's
just kidding,
funny.
CJ.
That's well, welcome to Disney Channel, kids.
Yeah. No,
I
I'm just
That's
kidding, but that
great.
game, I mean, as a diehard Florida fan, I'm actually really excited for the game because we absolutely have nothing to play for, and FSU
well,
has everything to play for.
I think it's going to be a good game because they both suck. Like
Yeah.
it's not going to be a lopsided game.
No, I don't think it will be. I mean, I will say this, I would not be surprised if the Florida team that beat Texas showed up, and
Wouldn't surprise me.
I say that because it's at Florida.
Yep.
What time is that? I don't even know what time that game is. I don't think it's
Is it
uh
Saturday?
yeah, it's definitely Saturday.
It's so bad I don't even see it on my list here. That's how you
Oh,
know.
it's at
Oh, it's
3:30 or
3:30. It's the
2:30.
afternoon. Yeah,
So
it's the
yeah, it's
afternoon
an
game.
afternoon game. So like it's it's gonna kind of get lost in,
In the
the thick of
shuffle.
things. Yeah, lost in the shuffle on Disney Plus. But I still think that Florida team can show up because they know it's the last game of the season, and I think at this
Yeah.
point, players
Your
know, hey,
seniors.
I just need to. Yeah, it's senior day for them, and it's like I need to show up and put some game film on because I know I'm going to transfer somewhere else.
Yeah. I
And
think
yeah,
that's for a lot of the kids, especially the kids that are about to declare, like right
hmm
after, that
yeah,
aren't making playoffs. I mean, they can go out having one more good game,
totally,
and then it's fresh in people's minds.
yeah.
Um, well, I don't disagree with you. I think
It,
it's gonna be a high scoring game.
well, the over under is 51.5,
Yep, that makes sense.
and the line is FSU minus 1.5 as the
Wow,
away team. Isn't
wow,
that crazy?
that's crazy.
That is mind blowing. I mean,
Uh,
I know both teams are hot garbage, but and I understand the line, but I always feel like of all stadiums, I feel like like for example, like last week against Tennessee, Florida was 3-7 and they had 90,000 people in the crowd.
yeah,
It's like how many teams do you see that are 3-7 where you have 90,000 fans showing up to a game?
only in the SEC. Well, okay, hold
Exactly.
on. Only the top SEC teams.
Exactly. So, in my opinion, it's like even us as fans, like we know this game is going to suck ass,
Yeah,
but
you're still gonna tune in.
it might be the last time we ever see DJ Lagway on the field. Actually, I take that back. I want to say I'm like 95% sure DJ is going to come back next year
Hmm.
because of the contract that he signed.
Oh,
Allegedly, like the contract that he
sure.
signed, like was a 2-year contract. So if he was to leave, he'd have to pay back like $2
Yeah,
million
that makes
to get
sense.
out.
Did you see what Nick Saban said this past weekend on game day about
No.
NCAA, about college football? Essentially, I segue that into this last game I want to talk about how there needs to be like the NFL, how like there needs to be like a like structure like a free agency period because
Oh
now
yeah, yeah.
as you're
Mhm.
going into the end of the season, Matt, um, so like after this weekend's game, college football season's over, playoffs start.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now as these coaches and teams are preparing for the playoffs, the transfer portal opens up. So now you can
Mhm.
have kids transfer in the middle of your preparation for your college playoff game or a bowl game. So now you don't even know who's coming or who's going, and you don't have time to recruit and
Yeah.
play recruiters. So there
I
needs to be
think
a
they
period.
will get there. I
Yeah,
think the biggest problem to all this is, like, everything is moving so fast,
so
it's hard
fast.
to make these decisions, and it's
You
like,
can't even keep up.
you can't and it's like, well, I'm just the update that I know we all got earlier today on ESPN where the college football playoff agreed to move their deadline for format changes to,
Hmm.
later next year just to make decisions on, like, what's actually is needed, and when you have multiple entities like the NCAA, college football playoff, all of these different divisions and conferences trying to work together to come to an agreement, it's like it's really frustrating. But I think if you were to condense it to 1 to 2 entities trying to negotiate, then it does become a lot easier. But when you
Right.
do have all of the conferences and all the committees and all of the bowl games, and it's like I just think there's so much money that has to be reshuffled. You only have so many options, and not everybody is willing to give or budge. And that's why I think this potential um, separation of the SEC and Big Ten will eventually happen.
Yeah, I agree. Something's got to change. It's insane how fast everything has just transformed since the NIL era is upon us. But that leads me to my next talking point. Our last game, or the 11 o'clock kickoff on Friday, we have the Egg Bowl. We have Ole Miss and Mississippi State. So up into this point, Lane Kiffin has had a deadline. He's not had a deadline. He's ready to make an announcement after the Egg Bowl, going into the playoffs. Nobody really knows what's going on with Lane Kiffin, but I think Florida's out. I think it's between Ole Miss and LSU.
Maybe.
Maybe. Apparently, Matt, they've all offered him the same amount of money. They're all offering, I don't remember, but it's all like $21 million with like the same
Yeah,
amount of
money is
NIL.
irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They,
that's
they,
crazy though.
they've all matched the same NIL money, so it's a matter
Well,
of preference for him.
okay, I don't know if I sent you this video earlier, CJ. or I don't know if I sent it in our chat, but it was the video where this guy was talking about why Lane Kiffin would choose Florida over
Oh, yeah,
LSU.
I've seen it.
And in my mind, my thinking behind this is because Lane's always been and wanted to have that savior complex,
Mhm,
like, and the narcissism that this guy obviously has, it's like, why would you choose LSU over Florida? Because it's like, in my mind, it's like, okay, regardless of where this guy goes, he's eventually going to win a national championship, even if he stays at Ole Miss, because he's that good. And
mhm,
the landscape is changing so fast. So it's like, he kind of accomplished what he set out to accomplish at Ole Miss, and if you kind of boil it back, deep down, he knew Ole Miss was not gonna be his final destination. Like, you don't
right.
take that job from FAU and say, "Yep, this is the last place, I'm gonna hang it up here, and
I
it
mean,
is
you're
what it
yeah,
is."
from FAU on sandy beaches,
Yeah,
having no responsibility to the middle of nowhere, Mississippi.
it just feels like, to me, LSU's the easy option. LSU's
Sure.
the easy choice to make.
Yeah.
So, but again, knowing Lane Kiffin, has he always been the guy to say, "Oh, I want the easy out"?
Never.
Exactly. So why would he go to LSU?
I mean, you argue a very valid point. Very,
Yeah,
very, very
and I
valid
mean,
point.
and the more I think about it, it's like, okay, like, I personally would not be upset if we didn't get Lane, just because it's like when things have gone this bad with the relationship that he's had with Ole Miss, would I be surprised if the same exact thing happened, to a Florida or to wherever he's going for a future NFL job? No, not at all, because I think the way that people handle like conflict resolution is kind of is a telltale of like kind of where they're at and
Yeah.
how they'll handle it in the future. And
Yeah.
he's handled it better now than he has when he was
Sure.
at USC and Tennessee and all these
Yeah,
other
different
teams,
person.
but
Right.
totally different person, but it's just like, I'd be okay if Florida didn't get him.
Right. Matt, you probably don't know, but the backstory with Lane Kiffin is he's had a job at USC, he's had a job in the NFL, he then had a job as a head coach at Tennessee with the Volunteers. He then was the coordinator at Alabama. Then he went to FAU, and now he's at Ole Miss. Um, so it's he's had these big name jobs at Tennessee and at USC. I almost don't know. Um, I don't kn- I don't know if he wants the big name school anymore. I mean, of course, that's the end goal, right? He could win the national championship. He can, it is the end goal to be the coach at the big school, but it seems to be Ole Miss and the trust with the school that they're giving them slowly but surely all of the pieces to get there.
Yeah, I can definitely see that,
Does
but
he does he concede to too much pressure like it's been in the past if he goes to LSU or goes to Florida?
yeah, I've kind of thought about that because if you're going to get everything you want, I mean, I'm one to say why leave if it
Mm-hmm.
is really cush here where I'm at. But I still think it's kind of like what JD Pickell says. It's like, the heart wants what the heart
Yeah,
wants.
right.
And
And
it's
he,
like, I kind of feel like those decisions are made before you accept the job at a place like Ole Miss.
yeah,
So it's like, hey, hopefully I do revive my career. I can do these things. I am capable of being this type of coach. And then it's like, hey, well, now, like, I had this in my head 5 or 6 years ago when I took the head coaching job at FAU.
right.
And
He just
that's
needed that stepping stone from Ole Miss to prove that he's can be
correct. Yeah,
competitive
because
coach.
it's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, he obviously did it. He was at FAU and then he was at Alabama. Now he's at Ole Miss. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that is kind of the traditional route you would take to get to where you'd want to be at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it I think only Lane kinda knows that, and it's like, I think another thing we also kinda have to consider is, like, maybe this is getting too deep into it, but these are the things that I don't really hear a lot of other people talk about, but it's like, okay, like, how happy is he, like, with his home life? I know he has,
He's got roots
he
in Florida.
he does have roots in Florida, and it's like, at what point do those things matter way more than money? And it's like,
Sure.
hey, like, is there a potential ultimatum that needs to be had with his, ex-wife and their son and his mom and all these other things? Like, you just don't know. And I feel like those are probably the answers that people don't know because, like, the moment Lane comes out and says, "Hey, I did this for my mom," or "I did this
Right.
for so and so," then, like, you're gonna look like an asshole for saying, "Yeah, you should have took the LSU job for $90 million."
Right. Yeah. When all in all, it's never been about the money for him. I do think, though, the one perk that Florida has carrying into next season, especially over LSU, is they do have a quarterback. They
And we
do.
have 0 recruits that have decommitted.
Right. So Florida probably has a more interesting short-term team. Now, of course, Lane, you mentioned this in the past. He's going to come in and all of the people he wants are going to follow
Right.
wherever he
He's gonna
ends
wanna
up.
do it Lane's way.
Right. But I think DJ Lagway is an intriguing prospect to Trinidad, who he has now at Ole Miss, that he can just
Mhm.
plug and play that offense that he
Well, it's
runs
kinda
now.
like when it's this feels exactly like when Lincoln Riley left,
Yes. Yeah.
Oklahoma to go to
Oklahoma.
USC,
Hmm.
brought Caleb Williams, brought whoever else with him, and it's like, "Wow, you suck even more."
Yeah. Now
And
look at him
yeah, exactly, now look at him. And, like, that's kinda my thought, it's like, I feel like Lane's gonna wanna do it his way,
for
and it's like,
sure.
if you step into LSU, that feels way more broken than the
Yeah.
state Florida is in.
Oh,
And it's
100%.
like, if you came into Florida, let's just say hypothetically, if he comes into Florida and he wins, everybody's gonna say, "Oh, cool, Lane did it with Billy Napier's recruits."
Yep.
That's exactly what they're gonna say. It's the exact same thing you say about
Ryan Day.
John Gruden,
Yep.
yeah, when he won a Super Bowl,
Mhm.
not with his players. So and then once he got his players, they sucked. So, it's like and I don't think that's gonna happen to Lane, but, like, those are the things that go through my mind. So it's like, technically, it's a little bit easier to do that Lane's way
Mhm.
in um, in Baton Rouge, but again, you don't know what is actually going through Lane's mind because like you have to make I feel like you don't make this decision for what you currently have
Yep.
set up for you when you walk into the building.
Yep.
It's like,
It's
am I
future.
gonna get what I want in year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7? Because like like, this is essentially gonna be a career defining
This
move
is
for
I mean,
him.
this is his last stop. I mean, this would
Yeah.
be you blow this. I mean, you're going to work with John Gruden at the
At Barstool.
FAAS. Yeah. Like, but
That's crazy.
with both of those schools though, there's so much pressure. You got to win. You
You
have to
have to
win.
win.
Year one, you have to win.
Yeah.
You
That
if you're
that
at
that's the one thing I'd be like, "Why?" That's why I'm like, "Why leave?" Like, you are
yeah.
literally going to be one of 12 teams. I mean, it's really honestly more of like one of 10 teams or one of 9 teams that, you know, to get into the playoffs, and I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but knowing Lane loves to be a troll, it's kinda like, "Hey, maybe you took this a little bit too far,"
Yeah,
but
sure.
to know that he did take it this far, it's like being in, like, a relationship with a girl, it's like you don't tease your girlfriend and say, like, "Hey, there's this other cute girl over here, and, like, I'll let you know next week." It's like, no, you're either committed or you're not.
What a
Oh,
pull.
goodness.
What a great way to end that segment on. I agree with you 100% though. It's going to be interesting. We'll talk about it or you guys will talk about it next week, I'm
Yeah,
sure, because the decision will be out. But
yeah.
my final thoughts on it, since you won't hear my opinions on it next week, is I think he stays. I think I say all that to say I think he stays. We'll,
Should be
we'll
interesting.
see.
Mhm.
We'll,
I think he leaves, but I don't know where he's gonna go.
we'll see. Stay tuned till next week.
Right.
The quick pivot, because it's not much of a conversation at this point, to the Heisman race. I think it's between three people. I think it's between Fernando Mendoza, Julian Sayin, and Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love seems to be gaining ground on the quarterbacks. It goes through the championship weekend before they announce Heisman, so stay tuned. We didn't have it was Cupcake Week this week, so
Well,
nothing
CJ,
happened.
I know that um you lean Fernando Mendoza. JD,
Hmm.
are you this in the same boat or do you lean Julian Sane?
Um, I feel like I mean, I definitely lean more Mendoza than Sayan just because of what Mendoza's been able to do at, Indiana versus what Julian's been done or has done at Ohio State. Not to take away from, him by any means. I just feel like, would Ohio State still be there if it wasn't Julian Sayin? Because I feel like you could just like pick
You
Plug
can
and
and
plug
play?
and play.
replace. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like it doesn't feel like that at Indiana. That's
Yeah,
the
that's
only reason I
absolutely
lean
right.
more Mendoza.
Right.
And that is correct because as Julian's saying, kid's an 18-year-old, last year, year before, you've had these like Ohio State quarterbacks now for the last few years, and now they just plug and play and seem to be.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'm higher on Mendoza than I am saying, but I think Jeremiah Love should win.
I think so too.
Oh, I
I don't
think
think he
everyone
will,
thinks
but
that
he
too.
should.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's doing enough. And he's doing enough, but I
No
don't think he's
running
doing
back will
enough.
ever be able to do enough
Right.
if
Right.
Gentie
Well,
didn't win
it's
last
the
year.
whole thing with
Correct.
like the MVP of the NFL as well. Unfortunately, it's turned more into a quarterback award than, a most valuable player award.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
mean,
If Gentie didn't win last year, I
well,
don't think
because then it
Love's
goes
got it.
back to like, well, is Diego Pavia more valuable to Vanderbilt than Marcel Reed is,
Hmm,
to their relative success?
right.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
possibly,
think he's
but
gonna win a Heisman, but, like, I think he's more valuable than Marcel Reed is
Correct.
to his
Yeah,
team.
without Pavia, that school would be irrelevant.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, if you took Pavia and you put him in Ohio State's place, does he ball out even more?
He's Johnny
yes.
Manziel 2.0.
That's exactly my point. It's like, why is Julian saying at the top of the leaderboard when you kind of I know they're hypothetical, so you can't really do that, but it's like when you think about it from a neutral player point of view,
Yeah,
that's like kind of the take is like, oh well, duh, of course he's better.
right. Yeah,
Right.
you and I share the same thought when it comes to that for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, leaving that, let's get into the not advised bet of the week,
Ooh, let's
which
hear it.
I don't
Did
think
you have
anybody
one
else
last
is doing
week?
it.
Did
No,
you
I did
hit
not
last
have one.
week, Matt? We're not in like Cancun, so I assumed you didn't.
No, yeah, no, I didn't hit the week before, unfortunately. It was, I think it was ruined on the very first game.
No.
But I have a lot of confidence in this slip.
Okay.
It's
let's
not
hear
as
it.
big as the last one. Okay, we're taking $5 to get $765. I figured I'd allow people to pay for their Thanksgiving with this bet, considering it's all on Thanksgiving Day.
Nice.
I have
Mm,
Jameer Gibbs to score first, not just an anytime touchdown. I think he's the first touchdown scorer. I
Wow.
think George Pickens is going to be the first time touchdown scorer. And I think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase come back and prove a point against the Ravens and upset the Ravens to cap off the bet to take your $5 and get you $765. Pay for hopefully all of the food that you bought for Thanksgiving.
So that's Jameer for the score first, Pickens first score, and then Bengals upset Ravens.
Yep. Look, I
I
know
like
this.
the Bengals upsetting the Ravens. I think that might be the easiest hit.
Look, I know this bet is irresponsible, but so are we. So it's okay.
So we advise you not to make this bet.
But if you do send screenshots, please. I want to see.
Receipts.
I want to see it. Great. Well, if neither one of you have a bet to add
Nope,
on to
not this
that,
week.
I am perfectly okay with heading into some bold predictions.
Oh, all right. I will preface with mine from last week is not played yet. So, JD, mine last week was the Panthers to beat the Niners on Monday Night Football. So, we'll see. Go ahead, Matt. Lead us off. What you got this week?
Some say my bold predictions suck. Some say I'm always wrong. But even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Oh.
And I think that Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns are going to upset the 49ers in
That was
Cleveland
fun.
as we witness the takeover
Let's
begin.
go. Let's go.
Let's see it happen.
Shedeur starts.
Yeah,
And
he is. They
he
said he
should.
was
Oh, they
starter.
announced it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He should.
They
He
announced
should.
him starter.
And if this happens, I want apologies written in ink, boys.
Let's go. Listen, he looked great. Okay, he deserves his flowers.
And that was on 1 week.
That one throw across that dude, it was beautiful. That one across throw where they had the reaction of the defense
Of Myles
and
Garrett,
just- with Myles Garrett just eyes wide open, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is an upset, but I'm gonna take the New York Jets beating the Atlanta Falcons.
Wow.
Give me New York at home on Sunday beating the
Why?
Atlanta Falcons.
So I do think that's technically an upset. It's just we've seen the Falcons fumble these moments so many times already that, I can believe it happening for sure. But it's definitely a bold take because the Jets suck.
Give me the Jets. Jets. By the way, I don't even know who the starting quarterback is at the moment. So
I think it's Tyrod Taylor.
give me the Jets.
JD, what's your bold take looking like this week?
My bold take, I'm gonna say Michigan beats Ohio State.
I like it.
Oh, I love that. I got one to college to end off on. Vandy's beating Tennessee. Tennessee's favorited by 2.5. I don't know why.
I mean, I'm looking at all these matchups, and I feel like the way this year has gone, this is the weekend all the teams that are supposed to win end up losing.
Yeah.
That's how my gut feels about this particular weekend, because like last year felt like absolute chaos on a regular basis. This year, maybe I haven't been paying as much attention to it, but like there have been a few weeks where there has been like, some massive, shakeups, but I feel like this Saturday, Friday and Saturday will be 2 days for that we'll look back on and be super happy, assuming you're on the right side of the happiness.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I
I
think-
mean, unbelievable set of games, and all the games this year. Well, not all of them, obviously, but majority of the games this year, I feel like they actually mean something during rivalry week.
Yes, and this is the point. Everybody thought this wasn't going to mean something, but I think it means more now with the landscape of college football, because you can be a 2-loss team and still get in, or like the slight chance you could be a 3-loss Texas team and pure, on the outside looking in, there's a, probably, a slim glimmer of hope, but, would have been an afterthought with only 4 teams, obviously.
Right. I mean, my thought with that to end it is like the Volunteers beat Tennessee. You had 3 losses, but you beat Vandy. You've lost to Georgia, Alabama, and Oklahoma, who are probably all gonna, be making the playoffs are real close. Like, where does that put Tennessee if they beat a 14-ranked Vandy? I don't know.
You're not wrong. I mean, and then if at the same time, if Vandy wins, how do you leave a 10-2 SEC team out?
Yeah, how do you leave a Vandy out? Well, and they've lost to Alabama and Texas,
Yep.
So it's gonna be wild weekend of games. I can't wait.
Yep, some big things can definitely happen, and you should tune in next week to see if any of it actually did. Well, CJ, I know you're going to be gone next week. JD, hopefully me and you can get some good stuff in, and we're expecting Raymond to possibly be back as well. So I will talk to you boys then.
I'll be listening from afar.
Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, please follow us on all socials at Not Advised Podcast. Again, this was Not Advised Podcast, the fantasy football podcast based off of vibes and opinions. So if you stay winning off this nonsense we are spitting, we want to split in.